street face. Take care of that if I can. They did have some activity around the courthouse plaza, but I know why that is too, because I was down there at a court hearing one time, and when they had a break, that was the only place you could go and talk. So you'd go out there and sit on one of the patios, and discuss the case, or have lunch, or wander around if you didn't like how the case was going. And so the sidewalk activity in the courthouse was carried out by the fact that the courts would always generate that kind of movement. So those are the answers that we had in Arlington County. So now let's go into Tyson's Corner. And the project that I did there, I said that it should be 3 stations in Tyson's. And I said, well, I don't want to select where they should be, but I would suggest that the property owners be given the right to determine which ones can organize and hook their parking lots together and their lobbies. And if you had a critical mass of property owners that were green, select that as a tentative station and then go from there. The county said, we don't like that idea, so we want to know exactly where they are so that we can figure out if we have enough sewer capacity to take care of them. So that's what the answer to how the stations were attempted to be considered in Tyson's Corner. Now I'll move into Reston. And at one point, our supervisor, Robert Dix, a Republican, appealed to the Congressman Frank Wolf, said, Congressman, why aren't we getting some money for transportation in Fairfax County? And the congressman said, well, Mr. Dix, let me tell you that I've given money to the program called Park and Ride, and Fairfax County just has not chosen to use it. So if you're not going to use the money I give you, how can you ask me for more? I'm not sure if my emphasis is right in that conversation, but I think I can hear it. But the next thing I saw was Dix went to the supervisor and said, okay, we need a Park and Ride program. And the rest of the supervisors thought that was okay. And they asked him, okay, where do you want your 7th of the pot? Because all the pots in Fairfax are divided by 7. And so he went to Reston Land and said, what do you got available? And Reston Land said, well, the only thing that might work is a project that's just over there beyond what we now know as the post office. It's a VDOT parcel. And we currently store the sand for snow removal and trucks there. And so a couple of people in town, myself included, and Joe Stowers, the transportation guru, said, that doesn't make a lot of sense to put that as a Park and Ride over there because Reston people can't get to that location very well. And Dix agreed and said, maybe there's something else I should do. The next thing I was aware of is there was a bunker that was over there on Wheelie Avenue. There was a building that had no windows. It was kind of a strange looking thing. Looked like a bomb shelter. I later found out that it was, in fact, built like a bomb shelter to accommodate an Air Force computer program that was secure. And that program was pulled, so that building was there, and a useless building sitting there alone. And so I don't know what the circumstances were, but anyway, that was purchased by the county. They said that would be a good place for a Park and Ride. So once the government spends money, then that would be a place that they could... They should continue anything else they're going to need where they have to have ownership. And so the Park and Ride was created at Wheelie Avenue as an alternative to the location that Dix first thought of to accommodate his 7th of the money on the Wolf money for Park and Ride. That's where that station was located. I'll go further down the road and say that there's even another one down there, which is at Reston Parkway. And it was obviously there was going to be one there. And should it be a town center? No, that wouldn't work. It would be irrational to go off the alignment of the center median to get into town center, because trains don't turn right. They slip on a curve, and the amount of land that curve would take up would take away too much land in town center and too much land in Reston. And then if you got back into the center to go onto the airport, it would take it away even more. So the idea was it should be somewhere near Reston Parkway. At that point, the Sheraton was undergoing reinvestment planning to follow on the logic of that was the tallest and most visible building in Reston. And it was at one point considered to be an appropriate site for the town center, which will be discussed in my webpage on the future of Tyson's, the future of Reston. But at any rate, the Reston International Center would be a location, and the plan that was developed for that, there was a conceptual plan that was part of the package. That will come into here, this document, and that plan showed that there would be some new development there at the Sheraton to add to its critical mass, and there would be pathways that would bring the people from the adjoining association drives through the parking lot, the covered parking deck, onto what was proposed is going to be the future metro site. And in fact, there was a proffer on that project that was negotiated at the end of the negotiation that said $500,000 would be set aside by the developers and owners of that property to achieve the connectivity with the proposed or anticipated metro stop, which would be considered to be on air rights over the top of the Mohammed, is that drawing back there still? See if you can put it up here. It's that one. You see, that goes over the toll road, and there's a train in the middle of that. And so something like that between the Sheraton and the Plaza America was one of the ideas that was advanced at that point. And so that would have been a very important part of Reston. And if you went there and you're in walking distance of USGS and walking distance of the lower cost housing that was in that quadrant and the town center, and that perhaps could be a place where you relocate the library because it's getting long in tooth and we'll need a new place. And as the first place you would stop outside the airport, that would be a great place for the information center, visitor center for Reston. And so the people developing Reston land at that point saw this coming, and they said, oh my gosh, we don't want this to be the town center of Reston, we already have one. And I said, well, you see, you have a real estate project called Town Center, and a functional center of town might be here. Recognizing that, the people that were developing Reston at that point went to the people who were widening the toll road to accommodate additional widening. They said, why don't you put a bubble in there or a little curve so that you can accommodate the train? So that bubble has been put in there, so that logic is the same kind of logic that was used to establish the park and ride. It wasn't good planning, it was just good real estate, which I guess is planning too. It's planning to make money. But so now we have two stations that don't make a whole lot of sense. And if you went on even further over to the Monroe Street station, you'd see that if that could be moved a little bit, then that might give you better access to the rest of Herndon. And so those projects, they're set in concrete, but not yet. And talking with our supervisor, Catherine Hudgens, I was telling her some of these ideas. She said, well, Pat, it's going to be hard to change. I said, I know, but if we've been the place that showed the way the way to the future by the first thing we did, we could also show them the way to the future by changing our mind and saying, whoops, we may do something a little better if we just adjust it a little bit. So the Wheelie Avenue station should be a station because it's as far as the money will take you, but it doesn't have to be the station that people are talking about. The one that is the station that welcomes you to Reston. And I will talk later about another station that I would think of is the one that I will call the Eastgate Village, which would be over there at Fox Mill. That would be the one that you see from the train window. I think that would be a place to establish the statement of what Reston is and should be. And so that would also give us an alternate to the problems that we're going to see on Wheelie Avenue as a parking lot. And so it is the future of Reston that's going to be dependent upon where these stations go. If we can adjust them a little bit, now, you don't have to move the Wheelie Avenue station, you just have to move the emphasis. Instead of what everyone is talking about, the place that people would come to when they came to Reston, no, it is a place. And so Wheelie Avenue station could be said with a small W, and the next station could be the Reston station with the capital R. We'll talk about R's in another YouTube later today. Thank you very much. Let's make Reston better.